father of the nation. Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah's achievement as the founder of Pakistan dominates everything else he did in his long and crowded public life spanning some 42 years. Yet, by any standard, his was an eventful life, his personality multidimensional, and his achievements in other fields were many, if not equally great. Indeed, several were the roles he had played with distinction. At one time or another, he was one of the greatest legal luminaries India had produced during the first half of the century, an ambassador of Hindu-Muslim unity, a great constitutionalist, a distinguished parliamentarian, a top-notch politician, an indefatigable freedom fighter, a dynamic Muslim leader, a political strategist, and, above all, one of the great nation builders of modern times. What, however, makes him so remarkable is the fact that while similar other leaders assumed the leadership of traditionally well-defined nations and espoused their cause, or led them to freedom, he created a nation out of an inchoate and downtrodden minority and established a cultural and national home for it. And all that within a decade. For over 3 decades before the successful culmination in 1947 of the Muslim struggle for freedom in the South Asian subcontinent, Jinnah had provided political leadership to the Indian Muslims, initially as one of the leaders, but later, since 1947, as the only prominent leader, the Qaid-e-Azam. For over 30 years, he had guided their affairs, he had given expression, coherence, and direction to their legitimate aspirations and cherished dreams, he had formulated these into concrete demands, and, above all, he had striven all the while to get them conceded by both the ruling British and the numerous Hindus, the dominant segment of India's population. And for over 30 years he had fought, relentlessly and inexorably, for the inherent rights of the Muslims for an honorable existence in the subcontinent. Indeed, his life story constitutes, as it were, the story of the rebirth of the Muslims of the subcontinent and their spectacular rise to nationhood, phoenix-like. Early life: born on December 25, 1876, in a prominent mercantile family in Karachi and educated at the Sindh Madrasatul Islam and the Christian Mission School at his birthplace, Jinnah joined the Lincolns in 1893 to become the youngest Indian to be called to the bar, 3 years later. Starting out in the legal profession with nothing to fall back upon except his native ability and determination, young Jinnah rose to prominence and became Bombay's most successful lawyer, as few did, within a few years. Once he was firmly established in the legal profession, Jinnah formally entered politics in 1905 from the platform of the Indian National Congress. He went to England in that year along with Gopal Krishna Gokhale, 1866 to 1915, as a member of a Congress delegation to plead the cause of Indian self-government during the British elections. A year later, he served as secretary to Dadabhai Naoroji, 1820, representing the Sikhs. Leader of a free nation in recognition of his singular contribution, Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah was nominated by the Muslim League as the Governor-General of Pakistan, while the Congress appointed Mountbatten as India's first Governor-General. Pakistan, it has been truly said, was born in virtual chaos. Indeed, few nations in the world have started on their career with less resources and in more treacherous circumstances. The new nation did not inherit a central government, a capital, an administrative corps, or an organized defense force. The Punjab Holocaust had left vast areas in a shambles with communications disrupted. This, along with the en masse migration of the Hindu and Sikh business and managerial classes, left the economy almost shattered. The treasury was empty, India having denied Pakistan the major share of its cash balances. On top of all this, the still unorganized nation was called upon to feed some 8 million refugees who had fled the insecurities and barbarities of the North Indian plains that long, hot summer. If all this was symptomatic of Pakistan's administrative and economic weakness, the Indian annexation, through military action in November 1947, of Junagadh, which had originally acceded to Pakistan, and the Kashmir War over the state's accession, October 1947 to December 1948, exposed her military weakness. In the circumstances, therefore, it was nothing short of a miracle that Pakistan survived at all. That it survived and forged ahead was mainly due to one man, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. The nation desperately needed a charismatic leader at that critical juncture in the nation's history, and he fulfilled that need profoundly. After all, he was more than a mere governor-general, he was the Qaid-e-Azam who had brought the state into being. In the ultimate analysis, his very presence at the helm of affairs was responsible for enabling the newly born nation to overcome the terrible crisis on the morrow of its cataclysmic birth. He mustered up the immense prestige and the unquestioning loyalty he commanded among the people to energize them, to raise their morale, to raise the profound feelings of patriotism that the freedom had generated, along constructive channels. Though tired and in poor health, Jinnah yet carried the heaviest part of the burden in that first crucial year. He laid down the policies of the new state, called attention to the immediate problems confronting the nation, and told the members of the Constituent Assembly, the civil servants and the armed forces what to do and what the nation expected of them. He saw to it that law and order was maintained at all costs, despite the provocation that the large-scale riots in North India had provided. He moved from Karachi to Lahore for a while and supervised the immediate refugee problem in the Punjab. In a time of fierce excitement, he remained sober, cool and steady. He advised his excited audience in Lahore to concentrate on helping the refugees, to avoid retaliation, exercise restraint and protect the minorities. He assured the minorities of a fair deal, assuaged their inured sentiments, and gave them hope and comfort. He toured the various provinces, attended to their particular problems and instilled in the people a sense of belonging. He reversed the British policy in the northwest frontier and ordered the withdrawal of the troops from the tribal territory of Waziristan, thereby making the Pathans feel themselves an integral part of Pakistan's body politics. He created a new Ministry of States and Frontier Regions, and assumed responsibility for ushering in a new era in Balochistan. He settled the controversial question of the states of Karachi, secured the accession of states, especially of Kalat, which seemed problematical, and carried on negotiations with Lord Mountbatten for the settlement of the Kashmir issue. The Quaid's last message. It was, therefore, with a sense of supreme satisfaction at the fulfillment of his mission that Jinnah told the nation in his last message on August 14, 1948, "The foundations of your state have been laid, and it is now for you to build, and build as quickly and as well as you can." In accomplishing the task he had taken upon himself on the morrow of Pakistan's birth, Jinnah had worked himself to death, but he had, to quote Richard Simons, contributed more than any other man to Pakistan's survival. He died on September 11, 1948. A man such as Jinnah, who had fought for the inherent rights of his people all through his life and who had taken up the somewhat unconventional and the largely misinterpreted cause of Pakistan, was bound to generate violent opposition and excite implacable hostility, and was likely to be largely misunderstood. But what is most remarkable about Jinnah is that he was the recipient of some of the greatest tributes paid to anyone in modern times, some of them even from those who held a diametrically opposed viewpoint. The Aga Khan considered him the greatest man he ever met. Beverly Nichols, the author of Verdict on India, called him the most important man in Asia, and Dr. Kailashnath Kachu, the West Bengal governor in 1948, thought of him as an outstanding figure of this century not only in India, but in the whole world. While Abdul Rahman Azam Pasha, Secretary General of the Arab League, called him one of the greatest leaders in the Muslim world, the Grand Mufti of Palestine considered his death as a great loss to the entire world of Islam. It was, however, given to Surat Chandra Bose, leader of the Forward Bloc wing of the Indian National Congress, to sum up succinctly his personal and political achievements. Mr. Jinnah, he said on his death in 1948, was great as a lawyer, once great as a congressman, great as a leader of Muslims, great as a world politician and diplomat, and greatest of all as a man of action. By Mr. Jinnah's passing away, the world has lost one of the greatest statesmen and Pakistan its life-giver, philosopher and guide. Such was Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the man and his mission, such the range of his accomplishments and achievements.